know if it's appropriate to make a thirst video about an actor who recently died, but I didn't make it while he was alive, so I don't really have a choice. Unfortunately, as you may have read in the news, in January he went hiking in the mountains in California in a storm and did not return. And then this week, the weather cleared up enough to go look for him. And they went this week and they did find what was left of Julian Sands. And I find it just horribly tragic, but I know that he was an avid hiker and that I guess he died doing what he loved, but I still didn't want him to die. I'm angry about it. I'm sad. Julian Sands was so formative in my romantic upbringing, in my romantic blossoming. Julian Sands is an English actor. He was born to family. There were 5 brothers. Somehow, he's the only one who ended up being freaking smoking hot. I first noticed Julian Sands in the movie Gothic, so I just stumbled across this movie. It is absolutely an apeshit crazy movie. It's about Lord Byron, Percy Shelley, Mary Shelley, and then Byron's crazy girlfriend. They steal away to this Italian villa. They use opium and they basically go absolutely druggy nuts for an entire night. And that's what the movie's about. But I loved it. This was in the 80s. I loved it. I totally developed a crush on Percy Shelley just solely based on Julian Sands in this movie. I loved him. The other characters, who cared? I just fell for him. There's something about his beauty and his exoticness and his accent, everything. So anyway, he went on to do a lot of other movies. He was pretty famous for the Warlock movies. He did a really quirky, strange movie called Boxing Helena. He did Arachnophobia. Ew, gross. But I think the movie that he's most famous for, and the movie that really cemented him in my heart forever, was A Room with a View. Now, if you haven't seen A Room with a View, you need to immediately go watch it, like right after you finish watching this. It is romantic, it's beautiful, it's British, it's Victorian. It has Helena Bonham Carter is in it. She plays the heroine, and she's engaged to this kind of stick up his ass, aristocratic guy. But then they go stay in this Italian villa for the summer. Another Italian villa. I sense maybe Julian Sands enjoyed filming at Italian villas. Anyway, they're at this Italian villa, meets George Emerson. George Emerson is the antithesis of the guy she's engaged to, Cecil. George Emerson is passionate. He runs around naked in a pond. He climbs trees and yells about the eternal why. And he's just everything that her fiance is not. And you have to watch the movie to see what happens. But I'll give you a clue. It's famous for this incredible kiss that takes place in the middle of a field. In all my life, I've never seen any scene that to me is as beautiful and affecting as this kiss scene. So you have to go watch the movie immediately. The kiss, I was obsessed with the kiss. I even have a poster. I got a Russian movie poster with the kiss. It's hanging in my infamous closet. So you've got to go see A Room with a View. It's one of the many beautiful things that he left behind. He will be so missed by me. But I will say, 2 or 3 years ago, I had the really amazing good fortune to go see him in person. He was doing a show called Celebration of Harold Pinter, where he read Harold Pinter poems, and he kind of had this whole one-man show about it, which was directed weirdly by John Malkovich. So I went to see this at Emory. Ivan went with me, which was very wise because Julian Sands is on my hall pass, and who knows what would have happened otherwise. But I got to see him. I sat literally he's on the stage. I'm in the front row. Even we made eye contact a few times, and I understand he doesn't know who I am and he doesn't care, but to me it was so meaningful, and his performance was beautiful. And then after, he did this Q&A, so we weren't allowed to film during the performance, but I did film this little snippet. I filmed some of the Q&A, and this is just a little part of it, but...
The cricket, and it was deeply, in my psyche, confusing, you know. And then when I woke up, I was conflicted, because I thought, the relief. But then I also felt this kind of, I wish it had been true. So,
this is how close he was to me, and it was just a magical night. I wish this wasn't the last thing that I got to see him in, only because I think he had so much more to give us all, and I'm sad that I have to make this my first posthumous thirst video. But I'm also happy that I knew his work and that I loved his work and that it was so much an effect on me as a romance author, as a lover of all things romantic, and as a lover of people who are exotic and creative and kind of march to the beat of their own drum. Julian Sands, you are great. You are a great one. You're beautiful. You will be missed. Why did you have to go hiking in the winter? But that's between you and the eternal why. So anyway, thanks for everything, Julian. Rest in peace. And if you haven't watched his movies, check him out. Treat yourself. He's super sexy and super talented.